get your hands up.
Hey, this is Trevin Giles, and you're tuned into Combat Sports Coverage.
Hey, what's going on? It's Thomas Galdenzi with Combat Sports Coverage. And on this edition, I'll be interviewing UFC fighter and Houston police officer Trevin "The Problem" Giles, where he'll be taking on fan favorite Kevin Holland at UFC Fight Night, August 1st. So Trevin, tell me how your training camp is going so far, about 1 week out from this huge fight versus Kevin Holland.
Oh man, it's good. I have some pretty good training partners that came in and had been helping out and stuff. So we've been getting it going, and I'm injury free and everything, so it's good for me.
And speaking about some of those training partners that you've had in this camp, I've seen on social media that Marcor has been in your training camp a little bit helping with that. How has that been, having such an experienced UFC vet helping you get ready for this upcoming fight?
Yeah. He's came through here. It was great, man. Just being able to feel that experience and just to feel the things that he does and his technique and everything. So I'm definitely pulling some technique from him, and just spending time and being able to get those training hours in with him would have been really good.
And tell me, you will be fighting Kevin Holland on August 1st, 1 week from now, basically. And tell me, how was that training camp for this fight? I know you were originally scheduled to fight another opponent, but they had a last-minute kind of switcheroo. And I just want to know, how do you feel about fighting Kevin Holland, and how do you see that fight playing out?
I think it's a good fight. I like it. I mean, anytime that you're training for somebody, you like to fight the guy that you've been training for most of your camp. But Holland's a good fighter. I think that it'll be an entertaining fight. It'll be more entertaining than the last fight I was gonna have. So I'm excited for it.
And speaking of your last fight, you fought James Krause in your last fight, which was a really big fight. Had a lot of social media and buzz going on about that fight. Your opponent, James, took that fight on 24 hours notice, which built a lot of hype for that fight. Plus, that fight where you got the win was also an epic war. And just tell me a little bit about that fight. How did you feel during that fight? And did you notice any extra social media or anything about that after the fight?
I felt good about the fight. I mean, apparently it's somewhat controversial or whatever, but to me, I feel like I clearly won it, just as much as he probably feels like he did. But I got the nod by the judges, and I feel like it was the right decision. I felt good in the fight. The fight felt good. It was fun. It felt like it was just a really fun fight, and I don't know. I mean, he was a tougher opponent than the one that I was going to fight. He was a better mixed martial artist. He had the experience under his belt, and he's a legit fighter. So it was a little bit weird taking the fight with him, even though he was a smaller guy. Taking the fight with him rather than the guy that I was supposed to fight right after weigh-ins. Just hearing that he was going to fight, and I had a new opponent. So but at that point, we're it's my hometown. We're here in Houston, and at that point, I wasn't going home. I mean, I don't think any fighter's going to do that. Cut weight and then just say, oh no, I'm not going to fight. I mean, it probably could have just been anybody, and I'd have still done it, but. I think it was a great fight. It was fun.
It was definitely a great fight, and I definitely saw you winning that fight too. And then tell me, you have how do you see how has COVID-19 affected your training camp for this fight?
It hasn't affected it too much. We've been able to still get the time in and stuff, and we've been safe. Nobody here has had symptoms or anything like that. We haven't had any issues with it, so we're good to go.
And you're also a Houston police officer. Right now, we're kind of living in crazy times. I have other friends that are police officers, and I know they have been working nonstop. They have been getting a lot of extra hours and everything. And I just want to know, how do you feel about that? You've probably been getting extra work as a police officer, and you're also getting ready for a huge UFC fight. How do you balance both these careers?
Sometimes it's tough. I have a really good My wife is great, and she makes the process easier. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do it, man. I'd be sleepwalking everywhere. But yeah, I mean, she's really my secret weapon when it comes to being able to have the extra time to train and fight and everything. So she helps keep the balance. But yeah, as far as everything else going on, it's it's kind of just been what it is. I mean, we've kind of been heading in this direction for a while. It seems like so. It's about time for a little bit of change, and we'll get it.
And then also, like being a Houston police officer, does that bring like any extra pressure or maybe like motivation to also do great in your fighting career? Like I'm more asking about like the adrenaline. Like when say you're in a high speed chase or you're going after a criminal, is the adrenaline rush the same like when you're walking out to the octagon, or is it maybe like a bigger adrenaline rush because it is more like life or death?
Yeah. For the most part, people aren't dying in the cage, and as unpredictable as mixed martial arts can be when you're in there fighting, it's even more unpredictable out there on the street when somebody can have a gun, they can have a knife, anything, Even, I mean, people don't think about it, but a lot of people ask me about, have I ever had to put my hands on somebody out there in the street, and I've always told them no. That's to me that's scary. They can have a needle on them, and you're wrestling around with them, and something sticks you, and then, who knows what from there, So that'd be a scary situation for me. But yeah, I get more of a. I would say honestly that I might get a little more of an adrenaline rush fighting than I do as a police officer. As weird as that sounds, but being a police officer is definitely more dangerous. And I understand the risk of it. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I kind of do get a little bit more of an adrenaline going on from my fights.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. I would have thought the opposite, but that's awesome to hear. And then I got to know, on your way up in the regional scene, you took out a lot of top guys that are in the UFC right now, like the top 205 prospect like Ryan Spam, Hurricane Ike, Brendan Allen. You took all these guys up on the way to your UFC career. A lot of these guys are now in the UFC. How did that help build you, like feeling confident heading into the UFC, knowing that you've taken out a lot of top guys on the way there?
I didn't really think about it much. To me, it was just taking it a fight at a time. I didn't think much about it. I expect anybody I fight to be tough. They're in there because they deserve to be there. Whoever's across the cage from me when I step in there is there because they deserve to be there, and they're there because they can't beat me. So that's just the way I look at it, and not just come and try to bring my best performance. And if that brings me to an undefeated streak or whatever it brings me to, I'm happy with that. But I just focus on one fight at a time.
And how do you feel about fighting with no crowd?
I don't know yet. I don't know. It's gonna be different. It'll be different, but interesting. It seems like the fighters are a little more violent now since there's no crowd for some reason, which is, I don't know. You would think the crowd would amp everybody up, but it seems like the silence is just, there's something about it to where people are kind of just letting go. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'd have to feel it out.
And then how do you feel about fighting in the smaller cage?
I think it's cool. I mean, people aren't really paying to see us avoid each other and stuff like that. So that'll be good. We'll be closer, and I think that's probably why the action is being pressed too. People don't have as much room to get away. I mean, a step forward or a step back, you're either in or out of range. So it'll be good. I'm fine with that.
And do you have any other hobbies outside of training?
Right now, I can't really afford to. I don't really have much time outside of training. But I like to hang with my wife and my son. It's like my favorite part of the day, just being able to see them and enjoy them and watch movies and shows or whatever. So, just being able to not have to train, not have to work, and just sit down and relax. So that's that's it, really.
And I want to get your picks for this weekend's UFC fights. This will be the UFC Fight Island's third fight card. And in the main event, we're going to see Darren Till taking on Robert Whitaker. And I want to get your picks for that main event fight.
That's going to be a good fight. I'll lean towards Whitaker. I think that Till is a beast. I think that Whitaker has more tools to get the job done. Doesn't necessarily mean that Whitaker wins, but if I had to look at both of them, it's a good fight. But I would just lean towards Whitaker just because he has more tools. I mean, with the takedown and all that. I mean, and I believe he'll do better in scrambles and stuff like that as well. So Till's gonna have to. Till's way to victory is knocking him out. Whitaker can win in different ways.
I agree with that pick for sure. And then another fight on the fight card that really stands out to me, we'll see Gustafsson coming up to heavyweight, and he'll be taking on Verdum. I want to get your pick on that fight.
Oh, Gustafsson. I got Gustafsson. He has good feet, you know, especially to be as big as he is. He's got the length and stuff like that. I don't think him jumping to heavyweight is going to negatively affect him. Of course, the punches will be harder and stuff, but I don't think he has a whole lot to worry about with Verdum. I think it'll be hard for Verdum to really get his hands on him because he's got good footwork. He's always moving around, and he's got some clean strikes, you know. So, yeah, I'm definitely giving that one to Gustafsson.
I love these picks, man. I got the same picks also. And then do you have any special shout-outs to maybe any training partners, any sponsors out there?
Just everybody, man. Nate, for coming out. Nate Marquardt, I appreciate you, man. You're awesome. He's a really great guy and great training partner. I've had Alex Morono over here, my boy Charlie, who might be fighting UFC soon. He should be out there as a replacement right now. So hopefully something works for him. He'll go out there and knock somebody out and make a nice name for himself. Man, I just got so many people to name. There are my cornermen that are always there with me. All you guys. I mean, I'm not forgetting anybody or anything like that. The more frequent faces I just named or whatever. So if I didn't say your name, it's just because I don't have all day to yell at everybody. But I've got so much support. You guys know who you are. I appreciate you. And shout out to Jesus Christ. He's a big reason as to why I can do what I do and stay healthy and while we're still here, you know, and through these days and stuff. But yeah, just everybody. I appreciate it. All the support and love.
And do you have any last words to your opponent, Kevin Holland?
Hey man, let's do it, man. I appreciate you for taking the fight. Short notice. It's going to be a fun fight. Let's go out there, put on a show.
Well, everyone needs to make sure to tune into UFC Fight Night August 1st to watch Giles put on another spectacular performance.
Yeah, this will be fight of the night again.